Good afternoon, YouTube. This is your buddy Choppadong coming at you with another video. What we're going to do today is we're going to try to define a couple of segments and some things that I want to go through going forward. NFL is sort of wrapped up. We've got some playoff stuff that we'll still talk about a little bit, but what I'm going to end up doing is probably getting into a little bit more frequent video posting. I'm going to try and throw some tips and some teachable moments at you guys as we go along. I tend to focus on NHL, but I'm going to focus a little bit on NBA as well. Not so much from the advice standpoint, but kind of showing you where you can get it, maybe showing you a little bit of what I do and how I do it within the NBA, because as a coach and contributor at DFSArmy.com, I kind of cover all the sports, and I try to focus with people on where to choose their contests and how to kind of manage their bankrolls. And as their bankrolls grow, being VIPs inside DFS Army, I try to coach them on what necessary adjustments to make if they're playing multiple sports, or if they're playing just one sport and doing multiple lineups within that sport, et cetera, et cetera. So hopefully that stuff kind of comes out in where we're going to try and take this little video blog going forward. I'm glad that a lot of you have followed me. A lot of you have signed up and subscribed and clicked the like button, which tells me that I'm doing something right. A lot of you have joined the DFS Army, which I appreciate, and that also tells me that we're doing something right. And many of you have told me in the DFS Army that you followed me over from YouTube or something like that. So I'm really glad that we're kind of pursuing this format together. And again, spread the word, tell your friends, tweet my videos, whatever you want to do. Let's get the education here. I try to be as transparent as I can possibly be. If you want to take a look at the site, dfsarmy.com is the site. The best thing to do, honestly, is use the code CHOP, C-H-O-P, if you're going to sign up on the website, or follow the link I put in the description or that I tweet out, because that lets my boss know that I'm doing a good job and that you guys are following along, and you're kind of helping me get more license to be an open forum and be more transparent, instead of always trying to hide all of the content that a lot of other sites do and try to keep it locked up. That's not my MO. That's not my style. I don't like that when you click a site and you fumble through some stuff and find out half the articles are locked up. Most of our stuff, written content, is free. We lock up the tools, we lock up the coaching in Slack, just because that's where the real magic happens. But you could just follow us and probably do pretty well on your own. I just would encourage you to take a look at the coaching and stuff inside, because I know that there's a lot of one-on-one stuff that has really helped a lot of people. And you can see we've produced, D. Barlow is not an inexperienced DFS player, but he's relatively new to the Army. Hit a good chunk of NBA money a few weeks ago. Boom, followed it up with a week 17 quarter mil. We've got the guys. We've got the people inside the website that know what they're doing. We've got golf coming as the new year rolls around, as the calendar flips over. We've got NHL content, as you can see. We've got some NFL stuff that will keep coming out for the next couple of weeks. NBA is always rocking and rolling, and just your other various sports. So that's just a quick tour of the website anyway. You've got your articles. You've got all of your domination station stuff here. All of these tutorials to show you how to use our optimizer for the particular sport that you want to play. And of course, strategy articles for all of the sports that we cover, and then sport-specific tabs. What I would tell you is this research station is where all the tools come out for NFL. NBA has a lot of stuff in there that is tool-related as well. This ADVP is something that a lot of people seem to like. And of course, PGA articles and podcasts and whatnot. We had one just dropped today, MMA, can't forget that. I forgot to mention that on Twitter, and my buddy Eric busted me for it. So Eric, sorry about that if you're listening to this. And of course, some of these other articles. We're trying to get a research station type tool set up over here for the NHL. I'll show you that in just a minute. But let me kick over to Slack, show you what we do a little bit. You can see our videos or our articles or our podcasts and stuff get linked in to the Slack forum, where these guys are always talking NBA, talking about what players they like. They have discussions back and forth and debate what plays they think will be, chalky or lower owned or better based on projections, or disagree or agree with the projections that our website puts out. That's great. That's where guys learn, and they don't necessarily learn just to plug and play. They learn the why behind the player and why that guy's in such a good position. We've got all our coaches, from Walsh to myself to Donuts. We've got a weather channel. We've got a couple, Keith. We got some of these other guys, NBA, NFL, NHL, main spots where people are always talking around. So, you know, and you've got private message. You can see all the guys that I coach on and off and on regular basis, or that I talk with on a daily basis. This is one tight-knit community, guys. It is serious that we do teach and we do give attention, personal, one-on-one attention sometimes, small group attention other times, to our VIPs and to our members that are just wanting to get better. We scroll down and look at the winning lineups, and yeah, you'll see me do this all the time. We have winners that win decent amounts of money. Sometimes smaller money, 20 bucks here, 20 bucks there, but sometimes it's huge money, like the $250,000 that you saw posted. Sometimes it's, you know, 70, 80, 100 bucks. Sometimes it turns 20 into 32. Sometimes it pops a little bit better, you know, money when you've got the 150 into 750. I mean, it just every day is just more and more and more winning by what we're trying to accomplish with our VIPs and what we're trying to do inside the DFS Army. So once again, give us a shot. Let's dive in. Let's talk a little bit about the tool that I was telling you about, and we'll get rid of the website here. This tool, we're debating whether or not we want it, you know, private for VIPs only, or if we want to use it as a teaching tool to the public to help show you guys what it is that we're onto and what we're trying to do. We've accumulated from a lot of free content sites, not free content as far as DFS content, but free statistics sites like NHL.com and other places. And we've put together this little graphic that is going to hopefully show people the good matchups and the bad and why. And I'll show you quickly as we scroll through this slate tonight on the 2nd of January what I'm focused on. When the first thing I want to do is pick a goalie because of the foundation of my team. Now, not everybody does it that way. I tend to do it that way. The goalie is the most predictive part of your team, night in and night out. Hockey's a rather fluky sport. If you can, just like baseball, in the starting pitcher, if you can nail the win, then you can give yourself a nice little boost. We'll go in more detail in upcoming videos about how that win is not necessarily make or break like it is in baseball, but it is very, very important. So kind of keep that in the back of your head, and let's see if we don't get to that here in the next few videos as the new year starts to wear on. What I'm looking at here is Boston is a -127. That's Vegas odds, and there's the implied team total and the overall over-under. So Boston's a -127. New York's a +115. New York is the underdog, obviously. Boston's the favorite. I want to see favorites over 150, preferably over 175, and hell, I'd like to see it as close to 200 as I can get. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go scrolling down these numbers, and the 127 is okay. And what I'm noticing in Tuukka Rask is he's, you know, 6 wins and just 1 overtime loss with a shutout in his last 7 games, and his goals against average in the last 21 days, which is about 10 games, has dropped from 2.1 down to 1.4. That means he's running hot. His save percentage has jumped from 92 to 95%, and his win total came up accordingly. Now, a lot of that is Boston's helping him out offensively too, but quite honestly, this is a big deal for a goalie. And for a relatively fluky goalie, you can couple this, and well, let's just do it now. You can couple this with looking at the other team to see what they're doing. I like baselines of season-long stuff, and then, you know, last 10 games or so to see who's running above or below their baseline to help me out. When I look at the goals for per game, I'm looking at 3.4 on the season, 3.1 in the last 10. It tells me there's a drop in the offense. New York is not as hot as they were. They're not running as good. Look at their goals against. They've allowed another half a goal in that direction too. They were only allowing 3.5, which isn't great, but now they're allowing 4, which is even worse. So you've got an offense that is cooling off, a defense that isn't playing very well, going against a goalie that's getting hotter. I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer, right? But that's what this graphic will show you, will point out to you. All in one place. You don't have to go from site to site to site to check this out. We've compiled the data for you. If I look at Washington, there's not a lot of green here for me to really look at. Not a lot of massive numbers. So I'm going to say for cash games and stuff, this is not necessarily a great spot. I mean, it might not be a bad spot. It might blow up for 7, you know, goals tonight for Carolina. I don't know. What I do know, Washington's a pretty good offense, but lately they haven't been as strong this year. Only 3 goals per game. They're a little lower than that right now, running a little cool. And they're running up against a goals against of a 2.9 that's running at a 2.6, so it's getting stronger. It's playing better. This tells me that, and I could look into the Corsi numbers and all that. We'll save that for a different video. But it's just on the surface telling me that we've got an offense that isn't quite as powerful as everybody thinks, being that they've got Ovechkin and some of the big names, running up against a defense that's playing better. And Washington's on the road. That tells me, again, that this is not necessarily a great spot. And being that Washington's got a pretty good defense of their own, it's not a good spot for Carolina either. Tampa Bay, league's most powerful offense right now. They're not running hot, but it's not like they've really cooled off. Their goals against is better, so that's good for the goalie. You know, if we're down here with Basil, it's not a bad. He's running a little bit hotter, so that's not bad. I look over here, he's probably in play tonight, but at the over-under of a 6, I don't know. Toronto plays a faster-paced game, which we can tell by their Corsi numbers when we get into the videos that'll explain those. But if you look at their goals for, they've dropped a little. Look at their goals against, they're up a little bit. Going in, when the hottest team in the league runs up against a defense that is not playing as well as it can, it's a good sign for the offense. So Tampa Bay's offense is in play. So I like Boston's offense for that same reason. I like Tampa Bay's offense for that reason. Toronto, maybe, maybe not. You know, Tampa Bay's been playing pretty good defense, so, you know, maybe not. Pittsburgh, another team people love. Their goals against is down. Their goals for is way down, so they're cold right now. Why am I touching them? You know, playing a rivalry game with Philly, too, whose offense is also down, and their defense is also down. This just breeds a low-scoring game, and it's not one that I really want any part of. Could I be wrong tonight? Sure. San Jose, same bit, down, and their goals against are up, so maybe I like Montreal. Montreal's offense is way down. No. I want teams that are running hot, running against teams that are running cold, if that makes sense. Because in hockey, I'm just trying to be as predictable as I can be. New Jersey and St. Louis, another situation like that, where we've got a team that's running a little bit hotter right now, and their defense is playing a little bit better, running against a team who's really, really freaking cold, but their defense is still pretty solid. New Jersey on the road, don't really know. You might look into their splits. I might tell you a little bit, but St. Louis is typically a pretty good defensive team. They just aren't allowing a lot of goals. They're not scoring them themselves, which is a major problem. So St. Louis's offense is pretty much off the table until they tell me otherwise. And New Jersey's offense is probably off the table for tonight, just because we're running up against a pretty good defense, and I think we found softer in Boston and Tampa Bay. But look at Minnesota, a minus 138. Okay. I look at the goals against for the goalie. 2.6 down to 1.5. He's only played a couple of games here recently, and his save percentage, so it's very, very, very small sample size. But I do like the fact that the goals against is way down, the goals for is down, the goals here, it's going to be a lower scoring game. Probably won't have a lot of shots in it, which doesn't help my floor much, but I do kind of like Dubnyk to get the win here. Again, I can't really base it off anything other than a very small sample size and a pretty crappy slate from which to do our picking. But that's really the only guy that's in play in that game for me. Columbus and Dallas. Dallas is a heavy favorite. Ben Bishop definitely in play. If you look at the goals for, down. So Columbus is running a little bit cold. Their goals their goals against is up. It tells me their defense is really slacking. And so I look here, and it's not like Dallas is running really, really hot or anything, you know. But their goals against, their defense is pretty good. It's playing pretty well. That's a Ken Hitchcock signature. And this is a reflection of what Vegas thinks this game is going to do with Dallas at home. I do like Dallas's offense tonight, being that the last 21 days, Columbus has just gotten torched, and Dallas is finding themselves in a pretty good spot, and they run a lot of shots. That one was giving up a lot of shots, but they tend to run a decent amount of shots when it comes to their up and down style. Like Hitchcock has them bogged down a little bit, but I still don't mind that offense tonight. It's in play. Winnipeg and Colorado, you've got, you know, again, a decent offense playing a fairly strong defense, or playing, you know, better defense. And I know I sound like a broken record, but I'm just trying to run you through this. Going against Colorado, who plays a little bit better at home, and they've been playing pretty well lately. This is a little surprising to a lot of people. Both these teams, with the over-under of a 6, in my opinion, are in play. Both these defenses are not exactly stalwarts. When you look at some of these numbers, I think that game has sneaky shootout potential. I don't mind either one of those offenses tonight. The LA Kings and Edmonton Oilers, not much to talk about there. Nashville, Golden Knights. Golden Knights have been actually one of the better offenses in the league this year, and defensively, they're running pretty hot. I don't like that spot for Nashville. What I do like is the fact that their goals against, you know, is pretty strong looking, but this offense may be able to overcome that running hot. So I think the Golden Knights are in play. So I think Fleury's in play, perhaps. I don't like them in a 6 as an over-under game typically. And then down here, Anaheim and Vancouver. Look at what Vancouver's goals for is doing. It's not all that great. Their goals against, they've been getting absolutely hammered the last 9 games or so. Been just getting crushed. Now they're at home and they tend to play a little bit slower style. But if you look at what is going on here with the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, their goals against is up. And in some cases, they're playing a little bit better. So I don't mind Anaheim. So if I look, Anaheim's in play. Golden Knights are in play. And if I keep scrolling up here, the Jets and Colorado are both in play. So that's 4. Dallas is 5. If I scroll up a little bit more, Tampa Bay would be 6. And Boston would be 7. So I got about 7 offenses. Surely I can piece together a decent team in all of that. So I run over here to the starting lineups page. And I open up my filters. And I start killing out the games I don't want a piece of. You know, I don't want New York. I want the game. I don't want that 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 game. Don't want that game. So now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games, 7 offenses that I'm looking at. I'm only looking at what I want. And what I always talk about is trying to take guys from, you know, good spots that get the minutes, that get the production, and put them in place. So I'm already going to start looking for value so that I can build a lineup from the bottom up. And then I'm going to start looking for the production that I can start slotting in there at the top, the studs. Now, I don't mind running guys when they line up like this, where all 3 guys on the first scoring line are on the same power play. It makes me a little bit nervous. There's no overlap there. When I play cash games, I like to get a little bit of a spread and take pieces of both lines that then overlap on the power play, or take pieces on the same power play that overlap on scoring lines. And you'll see that as we go on with these videos. It's what we were really focused on last year. It worked very well for cash. It spreads my net. If these guys score 3 goals tonight, then I might get a piece of them. I've got a better chance at getting a piece there. And if I'm lucky, it overlaps a little bit, and I at least get something out of it. I might have a chance to correlate a little bit. But generally speaking, I'm not going to just stack a whole line like this, because if these 2 lines do the scoring, I'm kind of screwed. So here would be an example. Backus on the power play 2 with, you know, Krejci or Spooner on the power play 2. You get 2 lines of coverage. You get line 2 and line 3, and you overlap on the power play. If you're lucky, Spooner throws one over to Backus, who bangs one in on the power play, and you get the assist and the goal there. If not, if Backus scores a couple of goals, you've got exposure to him. Or if these guys score a couple of goals, you've got maybe an assist or something out of Backus. It's going to get you some points. And same up here. So if these 2 lines do the scoring and this line really falls flat, you're not totally exposed to it. It's a cash play. For tournaments, you're going to want to really pick a line and really focus on it hard. So, you know, looking up and down, these guys, we're going to try to incorporate this over at DFS Army 2 in showing you the lines and the power play coverage and the salaries and things, so that you've got a spot at a glance where you don't need to go off site anymore and take a peek. But that one's proving a little bit more difficult than we originally thought. So it's going to take some time. But another thing that I do is I run through these stats, and I like to, again, go into the filters, cut out the offenses that I don't want any part of. I don't want that game. I don't want that game. I don't have these guys on my radar tonight. So I'm just going to cut them out. Columbus, you're gone. That game's gone. Nashville, gone. Vancouver, gone. And now what I'm doing, very, very basically, is I've cut this all down to one, you know, just the player pool that I want. I'm going to organize that by salary. I'm going to scroll down here, hit all. Now we're going to start at the bottom, start working our way up the list. I'm looking for guys that are running hot. You know, Brett Ritchie in Dallas, $3,000 player. Well, dang it. All right, I'll show you what I mean here in a second. Let me do this again. I apologize. I go 4 weeks. I want about 10 games, give or take. So this one was running over 2 seasons. Not a big fan of that. Forgot to set that up from the beginning. So, you know, 10, 12, 13 games, something like that's fine. So now I got to go back to filters, and I've got to go killing these teams off again, which won't take me long to do. That one, get rid of that one, get rid of that one. And now remember, we sort by salary, go, and then scroll down here and go all. Scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, start scrolling our way up. Who's running hot? These guys down here are running hot. Are they worth it? Where's Sean Matthias? He's a winger. Go to the starting lineups page. Look at Winnipeg. Winnipeg, Winnipeg. Where's Matthias? He's a winger, 4th liner. Okay, he's running hot. So we're going to kick the game log over. We're going to scroll down, we're going to look. Okay, not bad for 3,000, but a little bit rough. You know, not too predictable. He's a cheap guy, doesn't get a lot of playing time, running hot. So, I mean, although that's fine, I don't know if that's what I want to hang my hat on for cash games. Tournaments, maybe, but I'd like to see a little bit more playing time. So a lot of these guys down here, that's what you're going to find. When you scroll up a bit, we're going to start looking for guys over 8 to 10 points. Vermette, definitely in play. 10 points for Soderberg. So if I wanted a cheap center at 3.5K on Fanduel, 26, 11, 6, 27, 3. So last 4 games, he's been all right. Definitely in play. I come over here, Colorado. Where's Vermette? I'm sorry. I need to double check. My brain got away from me. Soderberg. Duh. You're probably yelling at the computer. The Soderberg, you dumbass. 3.5K. Now, I'd like to see him on the power play, ideally. But, fourth liner, all right. I'd like to see if there's other guys I can stack him with or other correlation I can run him with, just in case it goes off. But it's maybe a one-off value play. That's all right. Not going to hurt you. Another thing you can do, once you find your value by doing this, you're scrolling up from the bottom. You find, Namath. Now we go up a little bit more. Maybe we look at Angelin, Hansel, Strawman. We kind of look at, Lowry, looking good. So if I want to, he's got, 12 points a game over the last 21 days or so, last 4 weeks. So I take a little peek. Is he still running hot? 11, 30, 0, 20, 0. Okay, he's got a couple zeros in there, but his last, 5, 7 games are not too bad. Definitely playable. Might run down here, find Lowry. Power play 1, I like that. I can take him as a one-off, or I can run him as one of my centers, and then I don't have to stack him within this line. I can stack him with the power play 1 guys. So I could run all the way up here and grab a Wheeler or a Connor, or if you ran Connor for cheap exposure to the scoring line 1 and the power play 1 and put him on at 4.2K and ran him with Lowry, that is a nice little value stack, and it is very, very cash viable. Double check Connor. See, I'm a game log hunter. A lot of people hate that. I'm telling you, results are results. Look at this. Outside of these 3 or 4 games, I mean, he's had himself a nice little run going back a couple of weeks. Going back the whole month of December. Been a pretty cash safe guy for a hockey player. So that's why he's on the number 1 in the power play 1. And you line him up with Lowry, who's on the power play 1, and you've got some overlap when they're on the power play. And then you've got access for this winger. You've got access to Liney and Wheeler for cheap, and you've got access to another line of scoring for cheap. And so now you've got 2 out of the 3 lines you have some access to. Now, because these guys are all on the power play too, I wouldn't pick up any of these guys. If I ran that stack of Connor and Lowry, I'd run Liney or Wheeler with them. I don't know that I'd run 2 guys off the 3rd line, but this is a nice little spot to be in a game that we already like. Okay? This is all we're trying to do. We're trying to get a feel for where our value lines up. Another thing is we scroll up, scroll up, scroll up. There's another one. Is that Tuck? Vegas Golden Knights. Let's find out. Let's actually click on him, and then we'll kind of wrap this little portion of it up. I take a peek at Tuck here. Not a bad run again. It's going to get you a few points, but he's got a couple of double-digit games in there. Not the worst. Let's double-check him with Vegas Golden Knights. Another 3rd liner on the 2. So now I'm looking for the guys on the 2. Carlson, Smith. Maybe the defenseman in Schmidt. It's your job to go picking through these guys. Click on Carlson to see how viable he is. 48, 15, 15. So not terrible over those last 5 or 6 games. Not terrible. So Carlson on the 2 with Tuck on the power play 2. They get you access to 2 different lines of scoring, and they overlap on the same power play. It's a great cash stack. Just one way to do it. Now, if I'm in a GPP, no, I'm going to run all 3 of these guys, and I'm going to think, okay, well, it's time to, really stack them up and hope one passes to the other who passes the other who scores. Something like that. But this is what you're doing. You're running through these lines. You're building lines. You're focusing on the offenses that you like. You're clicking these guys, and you're trying to find correlated plays that line up. And in a lot of cases, you'll find it, and you'll start running them together. So let's say for goalie, tonight, where's Bishop? We said Bishop was in play, so's Dubnyk. But let's say Bishop. Let's say that we want to run a Dallas stack because we like that offense tonight. Let's see what that does for us. I want to look at the defensemen. I can look at Klingberg. I already know he's fine. I can look over here at my wingers, and let's see. Let's find me a first-line winger in Jamie Benn. Find me a center. I can go to the starting lineups page if I really want to look at it. Ben, Seguin, Spezza's on the 2, which sort of stinks. There's nobody else. Klingberg's on the 1, Ben's on the 1, so we'd run Seguin. Or we could leave it alone at a 2 stack, which is maybe what I'll do. Let's run over to Colorado. Oops, wrong page. Run over to the Colorado team. And we don't mind McKinnon, but let's look for some value. We run down and grab our other defenseman out of this game. I mean, this isn't a real thorough way to do this, but I'm trying to be quick for video's sake for you guys. Take Eric Johnson. He's on the 1. He's on the power play 1. Let's run off, a centerman. McKinnon's not terrible. There's Lowry. I already know he's on the 3rd line, but I know, well, he's in Vancouver. Or in Winnipeg. What am I doing? I don't want to focus on that one yet. Soderberg was in play. So if I run Soderberg, and I want to see where Soderberg lines up on the 4, he's just a little one-off. If I ran him with Johnson, I could come up here and grab a couple guys off the 1. Let's actually scrap that. Let's focus on Winnipeg because we liked them. So if I come down to Winnipeg, I said Connor and Lowry. So there's Lowry. And we'll just quickly find Connor because we said we liked that combination. Now I could run them with another defenseman, or I could complete something off of the line. I go to the starting lineups. I could run him with Line or Wheeler. Wheeler'd take up another center spot though. Could run him down to a Copper Armia. Like I said, I didn't want to do that. Morrissey, Trouba, I don't really like it, so we're going to leave it at 2. In cash, we're not too exposed. We got 2 Dallas guys, 2 Winnipeg guys. Now, if I wanted to take my other and make that one Eric Johnson, I can do that. And now, if I wanted to complete a stack, I can probably do this for fairly cheap and get Landeskog and Rantanen, or McKinnon and Rantanen. Stick with the cheaper guys just for funsies. Throw Rantanen in there. Throw Landeskog in there. And now look, I've still 89 for a center, 8,900 for a center. Perfect for a one-off. I can run through just about anywhere I want. Grab some centers. The only one I can't use is McDavid. You want Stamkos in Tampa Bay? You want Tyler Seguin with Jamie Benn and stack it? Bang. 900 left over. It's not so important in hockey. Let's run that one out there tonight. Hope those teams go off. We're a little bit stacked for cash. 3 Dallas, 2 Winnipeg, 1, 2, 3 Colorado guys. But there's worse things that can happen. Don't be afraid to leave money on the table when it comes to $1,000 to $1,500. We'll throw that one out there at the masses and see what happens tonight. So you watch me build a lineup that I'm comfortable with, and in NHL a lot of times you can get real freaky with the volatility, and you can run leaving a lot of money on the table and still end up scoring a bunch of points. You can run a little bit of stacking and stuff in cash because the volatility is going to take. You're going to have to use some correlation for sure. Bottom line is I hope that shows you a little bit of what we're going to be doing going forward. Maybe building a couple of core lineups. We're going to build a little bit of statistical analysis through the tool that we're developing through DFS Army, and we're going to be using some of the other free sites, like Roto Grinders or NHL.com, Left Wing Lock, some of these other places, Corsica Hockey, and we're going to try and really get the fundamentals going for hockey and show you guys that the sport has a lot of edge in it if you know how to pick contests. Now, I just ran that one in a little 10-person league tonight. We're going to end up maybe running it in some 50-50s. I'll teach you a little bit about the ladder strategy and stuff. We'll show you a little bit of basketball some days when we've got fuller slates for basketball. And hopefully you guys can see how we do things inside DFS Army. It makes you want to come in and give us a shot. I mean, let's be honest. That's what I'm doing is I'm coaching and contributing inside DFSArmy.com. So again, follow the link in the description in this tab. Follow me out on Twitter at Chapadong, and let's really crank 2018 up, and let's make you a better fantasy sports player, no matter what sport you like to play. Take care, guys.